That's why singularity became plurality. Singularity became plurality because there is fun in plurality. Singularity could remain singularity, could maintain its status for infinity. Yes? Yes, that option was always available to maintain its singular status. Yet, the infinite creative intelligence decided, no, I should become many because I will have more fun. It's much more enjoyable. So even the Buddha, when you connected with the Buddha, when you went to him, you had to commit to three aspects of his teachings. The Buddha, not him as a person, but also him as a person. Not him as a person, but also him. Got it or not? Not him as in the ego self, but him also, because he was a master and there was a particular teaching he was giving and you had to honor that. There was not an argument. You could debate with him, but not argue. It's clear. The Dharma, the teachings, practicing, and the Sangha, community. We are a social species and it is of great value to us to share our experience with our fellow beings, which are nothing but our own very self. And we gain great strength in that. It's of paramount importance. Community, Sangha, supremely important and supremely helpful. Supremely helpful. Supremely helpful. It's a very difficult life which doesn't have a community, a Sangha of evolutionary beings. Now we are living in a time where we have access to now even internet, right? So you can still have access to community, Sangha meditations, and you can use platforms like Recovery 2.0. That's what it's called, right? Connecting to like-minded being, connected to, it helps us to have that, because when we are living in the interactive relative reality, there is a lot of values which are not yet at that level. So there is opposition, resistance is there, and that resistance, because of the conditioning you find in your own self, the resistance. And so when there is a collective there, that collective intention, because it's not like the resistance is not there. Every individual here has resistance in them to their own awakening. Do you understand? Every individual here is actually resistant to be awakened. Because the nature of conditioning is that. Do you understand? But every individual here also has an intention to awaken. And when we come together with that shared intention, our shared intention is far stronger than our shared resistance. And so we lift each other up. So it's so magnificent to share of oneself in that way, to be generous in that way, generous with our sadhana, not be a sadhana hoarder. That's some place it's okay to be with people, because everybody is in silence. Rest of the time you can avoid people, it's fine. Parties and the yappity yap gatherings, that you can avoid. But in sadhana we must favor people. Shared experiences, there's a power in that. And so that is also the future of, as we are moving in this new yuga, this new time. The suburban jungle will be a thing of the past. People living behind picket fences in isolated lives. This model is unsustainable model. It's not a sustainable model. The model that is going to happen is communities, people. That's what will thrive. People who are living in that way. People who are practicing together. That otherwise, how are human beings coming together? They are only coming together for stress. That's the only way they come together. They come in offices, they are stressed, they come to drink alcohol, they're stressed, they go to parties, they're stressed, they go, it's all stress, stress, stress. They're coming together at their worst with each other. So it is bound to, but we long for each other. We don't have to deny that. There is a great joy in sharing. Yes, and there is such an ecstasy in sharing. To share, to be generous in that way. Because that's the nature of God. And the more godly you become, you have to be more and more generous. Generous with yourself. Not just with things, generous with yourself. And so that is the future, which is already here. Is sanghas, people living in that way, practicing together, coming together, because you experience a whole different meaning of life. A very different kind of quality of experience arises. It's a very different quality, unique. It has a very sweet fragrance to it. Do you understand? And you feel so much higher than the little problems. Are you aware of what I'm saying? You can. So I think it's of paramount importance. Sangha but within the Sangha, being always aware of your own particular, personal, radical responsibility. The Sangha is nothing but a coming together. It is the individual who is primary. Sangha is secondary. Even though when Sangha happens, there is a whole new intelligence that arises. Like our body is a Sangha. Right? It's a Sangha of cells who are coexisting with cooperation and surrendering their personal preferences for a shared experience called this body. There are some cells who become very preferential. They don't want to surrender their personal preference for the survival of the body, and they are called cancer cells. That's what a cancer cell is, who is not willing to surrender its own personal agenda. It wants to keep their personal agenda. No, we want to, done, we are not dying anymore. We are not following the law of nature. Cancer is there. Clear or not? So our body is a Sangha, the cells coming together, and the whole new intelligence that manifests itself. Atoms beneath cells we find molecules, and the molecules come together and a cell happens. Right? Atoms come together and a molecule happens. So as we go, we find in nature that parts come together and a whole new intelligence just manifests itself. That's how nature is designed. Nature is designed as different layers of communities, sanghas. At different level, a whole new level of intelligence manifesting itself. Fundamentally, it's one field. It's just different at different level. It's just one thing. But at different level, it is totally different. So by coming together, a whole new thing starts to happen, because that's just the law of nature. But within that, we have to be aware of our own personal, radical responsibility at all times. What is your contribution? How are you impacting the whole? The spiritual principles of relating that we have, never blaming, never gossiping, you understand? Never speaking about a person behind their back. There are certain principles we must follow, we must honor. Yes, but there is an incredible power in togetherness, and that is the way where life is going now. The old model of isolated living, egocentric living is unsustainable model. It lays too much pressure on our resources, also natural resources, and it's too heavy. Shared, it's a Sangha living is the future.